So, Ari, I'm going to say good morning to you, right? West Coast, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It is for me. I was pretty drunk last night, so yeah, it's a nice 11:20 morning.
Well, you're a professional. I mean, comedy store people, I would say you at your most intoxicated is still not a big problem in the grand scheme of things.
Listen, I was able to text last night before I passed out. I was like, hey, I'm being responsible. I'm about to barf for the fourth time. We should probably push this 45 minutes.
Well, in your case, I would say that's blown off steam and a positive thing because you taped a new special a couple weeks ago in DC. You have this big Australian tour within a week. So, you're just doing your research and your homework, right?
Absolutely. You got to get your liver ready for Australia.
Yeah.
It's the biggest booze country in the world. Maybe Ireland. It's a close one.
So Australia is one of a really curious comedy territories for me because the American comics who are usually prominent in Australia, there's no correlation. It just happens that they went to Just for Laughs or something like that. They got showcased and they're doing theaters in Australia and they can barely do clubs in the States. You're an exception to all that. How did this one happen?
Um, I mean, I've been going there for a while. They love American comedy there. It goes the other way, where in Australia they're just like, we are from America. That's awesome. But this way, not as much. Yeah, there's some people that are like Eddie Ift and certain people that are just like way bigger there than here. It's strange. It's strange. Music is like that too. I saw a ad for Bush, the band Bush.
Yeah.
It was like this is like 25 years ago when they were like hitting big, and they were playing England. They're English. They're playing somewhere in England, and the ad said, "Come see what the Americans think we're missing."
Yeah, Bush is a great example where they're kind of a club band in England, where they're originally from, and then here they were an arena band. I think
Yeah,
Def Leppard was kind of a similar deal for a while.
really.
Yeah, we could go the music route, which I'll do later, but let's talk a little more about how successful and great you are, okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So the DC special that you just taped, when you
Yeah.
do a special, do you kind of retire the material
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah, it's done now. Because I'll do some of it in Australia for sure, but but that's just the end of my tour because it's not out. But once people have seen it, it's kind of like jig is up. And so you may as well just get started with the new stuff. But it's this big tour out there, so I'm not going to give them like brand new things. But then after that, I'll just be like off the road for like 6 months, just building up, bombing nightly, trying to get some gold.
in terms of Australia, some comics, every show is entirely different, and other people just go, well, this will kill everywhere, whether
Uh,
it's the middle of the country or Australia. For you, is it totally different material for Australia?
no, what I found is everyone in the world really relates to what a blowjob is. So, so it's not it's universal. It's just certain things that are universal, and the way you feel when the lady's got your dick in her mouth is just like the Arab world, the Irish world, the Catholic world, even the Mayan culture. They all understand what a BJ is. So you don't have to switch it up too much, but yeah, if it's about a president, you might just change it to prime minister.
It's a weird name drop. I'm trying to think if it was George Wallace who told me this. It was a veteran comic who told me this a lot of years ago when I interviewed them, that they said they basically knew what the Walmart equivalent was in each territory. So they have the killer Walmart material, but then they
Wow.
go, it's not like we're in a Tesco and they
Right.
do that. Do you have that?
Yeah, that was like when you started. That was like, hey, what's the big supermarket chain here? And you just ask like a local, like, what's this? And we missed a lot of opportunities of fucking with comics by giving them the wrong information. Um, yeah, you'll see it too. Somebody will just like be on the block that the club is in, and they'll see something. And you're like, so many Jamba Juices here. And people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, well, there's two here. I'm like, yeah, none of us live on this block. You can't make an assumption about the whole city.
Yeah, you are from the generation of comic that's well adjusted yet still pranking one another mercilessly.
Yeah, you try to keep people off balance.
Yeah, I mean, going through your history, I think a lot of people first saw you because of minding the store and you coming up with the comedy store scene. And you were kind of there in the comedy store scene before it was cool again, before it became that kind of a place to be.
It's
Is
so
am I
popular
correct
now.
about that?
Yeah, it's so popular now, but like the lore of it is what they call the dark years. It's funny they did like a documentary about the store, which I didn't see, but like everyone was like they didn't really cover our generation or like 2000. I got there I think in 1999, 2000 to like
Mhm.
2000. I guess 11 or 12 when they switched talent coordinators. It got wildly successful, and everyone's like, "This is the best time." And I'm like, "Nah, my favorite time was the bartenders were ignoring their shifts. We could have like a full casino in the back with the ties. They're all opened up, and people need drinks. Like fuck them. I'm in the middle of a hand. People fucking in the back of the rooms that weren't being used constantly. Only one room's being used, two rooms empty. You're just like stepping in a condom with someone else. Like it's just like it was a wild time. It was a wild time, and all the lore about the place now is based on that old time. It's not that thing anymore. It's not. It's not. There's cameras everywhere. I did get caught on camera. They put in cameras in the belly room. I got caught fucking in there. And they were like, Ari, I'm gonna change the name, but like Ari Bess, huh? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you and Bess. I'm like, no. They're like, you sure? I'm like, no. And then they're like, can I show you this video? And I'm like, there's no video in the belly room. And they're like, there is now. I'm like, but the lights were off. They're like, the lights were off for what? I'm like, for nothing. And they're like, night vision, bro. And it's just me just railing this chick. And then one of the local homeless guys popping over the top rail and just going like this and like looking at us for like a minute that I didn't even notice. And then popping back into the darkness.
Wow. So the TV show I'm Dying Up Here, it didn't end with the seediness of the Comedy Store, the implied Comedy Store, didn't end in the 70s.
Yeah, we're pieces of shit, but money has definitely changed a lot of it. But a lot of these rich guys can't really dive into their piece of shit roots, but they're all pieces of shit.
Well, this is a question at you here. You have New York roots, although you're also a Maryland your Wikipedia is maybe not entirely correct about that. But when
Possibly not.
you're a New Yorker or from Long Island, you know that Governor's Comedy Club is a great workout room, but the Comedy Cellar is kind of the mecca. How did you know to go to LA for stand-up in an era when stand-up was not really cool?
Oh yeah, it was not cool. Well, I figured it was LA or New York. Graduated college and then I was like, didn't really want to tell anybody I wanted to try stand up because that seemed like kind of retarded. Like they're like, why would you think you'd be able to do stand up? I did take some writing classes, some screenwriting classes. So I was like, well, I'll go try to be a screenwriter, but then also secretly stand up. But
Mhm.
screenwriter, I could justify. Look, I've taken some classes in college. Like, I could do that. I was an English major. It just seems like a job you could do. But then New York was just way more expensive to live in. So I was like, if I got to go be broke. And then I had my friend from college and high school. He was like, hey, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to be a screenwriter. And he had moved to Florida already. And he goes, do you want to go? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. We met up in Tennessee and then just caravanned out. But it was just like, man, it is a great place to be poor. Everybody kind of gets it there. Even like a lot, not all, but a lot of like the super rich actors and writers, but actors too, especially like they were broke waiters at some point. So
Right.
it's not that looked down upon. In certain circles, it is like, ugh, you're driving a Honda. It's like, ugh, they're garbage people. But in New York, it's all Wall Street based and shit. So it's like really is embarrassing to be broke.
Well said. Now, in terms of writing, people know you for being a great writer in general, but your IMDb is kind of missing a lot of credits. Most of your IMDb writing credits are kind of like you were on that televised comedy festival or that televised stand-up bit, and that's that. But I always got the vibe that you did punch up on scripts.
You're thinking of this guy named Ari Shaffir. He writes for Seth Rogen's company.
I didn't know about that punch up guy. You just seemed like the kind of person that they'd call in at the last minute to give tags and all that.
I mean, I'll do it for friends and stuff like that. But yeah, there's that punch up world. It's like uncredited, and you're supposed to like ghost write. I think Patton Oswalt did a lot of that. They give him like
Yeah.
100 grand to like, hey, don't put your name on this, but make it better. It's, all right, I would never put my name on this anyway, but I'll punch it up for you.
So,
I
so
wonder why they
that's
don't get
not
credit.
you, and that was not your path. But were you a holding deal kind of guy before stand up really happened?
No, bro, I was always an outsider, and I still am. I still everybody, nobody like is beating down the door to work with me ever. It's always
Oh,
like
hard.
make some fun shit.
I'm gonna keep the over patronizing and the ball washing going there and go. You're one of the few people who can be accepted by Netflix,
Yeah.
accepted by Joe Rogan stuff, accepted by the Comedy Store. So you kind of run this unique road of being alternative but mainstream at the same time.
Yeah, I go my own way, I guess. Yeah. And then it's always worked out. So, I stay pretty happy about everything. But sometimes you're like, trying to get Comedy Central to like you or trying to get Netflix to like you. It was like such an uphill battle. But then it's like, whatever, things are going great. I've got enough money for beer. It doesn't, none of this really matters. I'm doing dick jokes. Like, it's all fucking great. I hear some of
And
my friends, my rich friends, like really crying about like, I'm not selling out my second show and wherever. And I'm like, dude, you're just telling jokes and you're like wealthy. You can't be crying about this. Like,
right.
right, try to make better sales, but who cares? Like, you're making doctor money tonight. Like, how can you be upset about this? But, comics/Jews love to complain. So it's in our nature.
Well said. And congrats on your new podcast. I think that
Oh, thanks, buddy.
you figured out how to get people to pay you to travel by doing this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch saved up and I'm gonna be doing while I'm gone too. You'd be tripping. It's so fun. It's just hearing people talking about their trips. It's fun too, because it's like there was one other podcast, Are You Garbage? That was it just started asking people questions they don't normally talk about. Look, when we started podcast, it was fun. It was Rogan, Carolla, Marin. That's pretty much it. Then I was part of the second wave.
Mhm.
Me, Duncan, and Segura, Pete Holmes. And then the third, now we're in like the eighth wave, and it's just like there's a billion of them. So people have been on. When I had people on, they're like, well, I haven't really done a podcast before. Even other comics, like I'll tell my story about heroin, sure. And now they've all told everything 50 times. They get asked the same questions. And it's just like, here's the story about this. You want to hear it? Um, but then Are You Garbage will ask these questions that you really never deal with. Like, do you ever microwave eggs? To see if you're a garbage person or not. Or do you wash your car with a squeegee ever? And it's like, well, yeah, I remember. And then it's just like sparks this memory. These stories about long trips or wild trips is just like, even if they talked about it a little bit, it's a 3-minute story. And I'm like, no, we're going to talk about this for an hour. And they're like, will it last for an hour? I'm like, you're going to remember stuff as we go. I'll ask them about the smells and the sounds, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I met this guy there. That's right. I forgot. And they're just like, it just gets them out of that normal thing. And I love hearing about it too. I like the excitement. So it's just fun hearing about foreign, crazy places. I'm really
Have you
enjoying
been
it.
invited on any press trips or fam trips yet as a result of the association with it being a travel podcast?
Yeah, maybe. My buddy Shane was like, he wants to do one about a place he went, but he's like, let's go back there somewhere in Europe. We can do it from there. And I was like, all right, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was, to rudely interrupt you, I was meaning tourism bureaus and convention bureaus, the
Oh,
CVBs.
no, none of that. That's a weird part of travel writing in general,
Mhm.
is the trade for press. So like you read an article about what's the best hotel in like Ubud, Bali, and then you're like, well, this is a paid, they're got free stuff. This is not the actual experience. You kind of want somebody who hasn't taken anything and then wrote about it like a year later. Um, yeah, I yeah, no, it has not happened yet. I'd take a freebie, but I wouldn't write about it. But I would take it, like I have gotten a lot of like, hey, not from a tourism board, but like you got to visit this place. I live there, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I've always gotten that. They're fun. They're good recommendations.
But speaking of travel, I really liked the bit that you posted this week about medical conditions and going through security, that kind of a thing. Have you blown up your spot by giving that away?
No, TSA agents are all fucking morons, so I don't think they know how to get on computers. I was worried about it for a little bit, but it turns out they're just uneducated fucking apes. So it's fine.
Your words, not mine, for the record.
Just the white ones.
Yeah, so to kind of recap where you're at, it's this interesting thing where sometimes you're just working out material at the store, sometimes you're headlining theaters here and abroad. There's
Yeah.
the podcast. You do pop up occasionally as a writer on something, you're on other people's podcasts. You're really doing comedy 7 days a week, it seems.
Yeah, the lifers, the full-time guys, that's what they are. You look at a guy like Mark Norman, he's not getting ready for a special. He's just always in shape. He's just always doing spots and always thinking about comedy. And then you have other guys who are like one step down, which is a lot of the celebrity comics, where they're like kind of don't get up much. And then it's like, all right, it's time to do a special. They write it, they tour it for like, they practice for like a month, tour it for like 3 or 4 months, and then record. And then it's like, but that year you were kind of off. You did 10 spots in a year. You're very rusty.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys like that do it all the time, Joe List, Sam Morril, all these guys are like they're just killers all the time, and you kind of, it's not even you have to, you just want to live in it. I heard a story about Wayne Gretzky. This guy
Yeah.
who's a door guy at the Comedy Store. He's a practice player for the LA Kings, because he used to play hockey. So he went around with Gretzky, was played for the Kings for a bit towards the end of his career, and he was doing a signing, and so this guy Harris went with him, and somebody got to the front with his son, with his like 12 or 14-year-old son, and he goes, Wayne, tell my son how important it is to practice. And Wayne Gretzky, he signed up. He goes, oh, yeah, it's sure, yeah, it's important. And then they moved on, and then my buddy was like, so Gretzky was like, what was that? Like, what were you being so weird about? And he goes, dude, when I was 14, nobody had to tell me to play hockey. They couldn't get me off the ice. If this kid doesn't want to play, doesn't want to play. It's not, it's got to have it in you. And all these like daily comics are like, it doesn't matter if you just finished a special or did whatever. It's like, we're getting up. If you're in a coffee shop in Tucson and somebody's like, there's an open mic in the back, like, oh, really? You tell your date, like, I'll be right back.
Right.
And you go do it for free for a fucking shitty room. Like, you're not going to not.
Well, where I was going with all that was you are a comic, a real comic. Whereas a lot of the headliners today, you could tell that they're really just doing this until they're selling the screenplay or they're trying to have the 5-job title kind of comic existence.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, no harm just because you don't want the same shit out of it that I do. If I play pickup basketball, I'm not looking to go pro. I'm just looking to have fun. So it's like, you can't really fault a guy. It's a little annoying when they take up stage time, but like there was an actor strike, and all these fucking actors like, I'm gonna get back into stand-up now, and these writers too were like, I'm gonna try stand-up again. And you're like, all right, but you're an open micer again, just so you know. Like you haven't just, I left you 5 years ago and I developed and you didn't. So like you're not better now. But it's fine, they all wanted to, but then they all got their wake-up calls. They're like, oh shit, this is actually harder than I thought.
I like that you're calling people open micers. I'm very entertained by Rich Voss calling everyone middlers or mids or that kind of a
Middlers
thing.
is a great term because it's like on a 3-person show on the road, it's a MC, the middle act, and then which you need to be strong for, and then a headliner, which is like, and calling someone middler is just like no one's paying to see you. You're not that good. It's so funny because if we call them an open micer, they'd be like, that's ridiculous. I've had this and this, but middler is like, damn. There's also some middlers with like HBO specials, and they're still middlers. It's like it's a good insult.
Yeah. So tying that all together, this life that you have now, that really seems like what you were working towards all along. Like you are exactly where you set out to be when you were answering
Yeah.
phones at the Comedy Store.
Oh yeah, it's great, bro. It's like, yeah, I pay my rent with the dumbest shit. I have fun with the most hilarious people on the planet. It's the best. I nutshotted a fucking giant arena act yesterday. You know, it's just like I don't know what else there is. This is amazing. I should be a fucking lawyer who's ready to kill himself with his dumb 2 kids who don't give him any respect. That should have been my existence. A wife that doesn't love me, and I just fucking hope to get fucking an hour to smoke a cigar in the back. That's my fucking, Ooh, the Orioles are playing again. This is great. They're doing well now. It's like, ugh,
But you
I'm having a
did play
blast.
golf in college, if Wikipedia is correct. So you were on that career path.
Yeah, that was doesn't tell the whole story. It was a Division 3 college. We couldn't field a team, so pretty much anyone with a golf bag was on the team, and I was the worst one on the team. I believe I was the worst division. I was the worst college athlete of any sport for that year. That's what I think. I'm including handicap people. I shot a 143 in competition. Um, I guess whoever I was playing with shot I think like a 78. And I was like, oh, well, he was good. My coach was laughing at me. Yeah, so I would have gotten better, but I was not yet.
Wow. Well, 2 quick questions and then I let you go. And they come from curiosity. And
Okay.
the first one is the show This Is Not Happening. Was the name of that, and we talked about music before, was that a Radiohead reference?
No, what's the reference?
That was a lyric on the album Kid A, the chorus, This Is Not Happening, This Is Not Happening. I don't remember hearing that said much before Radiohead, and I could be wrong.
No, it is it was a play on a painting by don't know his first name, Magritte. Can't be Jeff Magritte, no way. But it was a kind of like a theoretical painting of this is not a pipe. And he just paints a pipe. And he goes, this is not a pipe. Because it's like, it's a representation of a pipe. It looks like a pipe. It's not a pipe. It's just paint on a canvas. It's actually not a pipe. You can't smoke out of this. And when we're telling these stories of like these crazy things are happening, it's like, well, these things are not actually happening. This is a representation of them. So it was like a play on that. That was the reference where it came from.
That is deep. And
yeah, and all our early artwork had like a little pipe hidden in the corners.
The last question is also Wikipedia related. It says that you're from New York, New York. And I find that most people who are not from New York just don't understand Long Island and where Long Island is versus Queens and Brooklyn. Where are you actually from originally in New York?
No, I was just born in New York. I was raised in North Carolina and Maryland. I was there for, I think, a couple months in New York. But when I moved to New York from California, I think 12 years ago, everybody was like, oh, welcome back. I'm so glad you're back. I'm like, I've never lived here. And they're like, why did I think you lived there? I'm like, because of anti-Semitism. That's the only, because you think that's where this face should be from. And it's fine. I don't care. Some good anti-Semitism is fun. But like, yeah, I'm a Manhattan guy, you know, no offense to Brooklyn, no shame on Long Island, although you should be shamed. You're all fucking contractors and fucking garbage truck employees. But like, yeah, I guess it's a 1-2 of like, well, no, you're not really the city. Long Island's not the city.
No, and I think it's very funny how many prominent comics use Long Island for workout room gigs now. And right before they
take Governor's is right there. It's an hour drive, you know, and then it's like a road room and you can drive home that night. It's pretty fun. I got a buddy that lives out there, Renazizi, so I can like see him when I go out there. And also you get a little nature, stop for a hike or something.
Yeah, this town has a workout room in Long Beach, Long Island. That's basically a pizza place, and Mark Normand is there 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to get out there. Pick up a fucking envelope, make some money, you come home.
So you don't hate Long Island, you just pretend.
No, I just make it fun. Long Island is cool. You know, it's got this weird, real vibe that you don't see in the city, and it's so close to the city. You're like, who are these people? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I just went up there with Normand and List and Renazizi. We did a show, and it's like I'll do some dark stuff, and it's like, listen, I perform a lot at the Comedy Cellar at like 1:30 in the morning on a Monday or Tuesday. So like, you can really do jokes about fentanyl and you don't have to explain what it is to these people. You know, they all know what fucking ketamine is and what drugs are and what fucking hookers are like. Now, 8 o'clock on a weekend, you're getting some tourists. They're like, oh my God, you know? So you start doing these dark jokes in Long Island and I'm like, ah, shit, these are like normal people. They're not going to get it. And then you realize like, oh no, they're pieces of shit. Long Island's full of fucking, in the best way possible, pieces of shit. And they're like, we love this. Bring the darkness. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are great. You're not San Francisco. You know, you're fucking cool in a laid back way. You're like, let's have a barbecue. Like, oh, right. Yeah, you guys are fun.
And then you see what comes out at the barbecue after 11 p.m. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we pick up all your best racist jokes, you know, and it's like, yeah, Long Island barbecues. As soon as people get talking, yeah, we heard this one. I'm like, I'm writing it down. Let's go.
You get it. Well, the bottom line is thank you for the decades of great comedy, because it has been decades now. Looking forward to that DC special. Congrats in advance on the Australia tour. And really looking forward to what's to come from your stand-up and your podcasting.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. It's a fun life. Let's keep doing it.
Paltrocast.